Hi everyone, and welcome to today's session. This is going to be an athletic development session where we'll follow the format of a stability and mobility warm-up and then onto a strength and power unit and finish up with a cool down. So now that we're back to field sessions, it is important that we still work on athletic development through the stability, mobility, strength and power units. So make sure that you're still working on this one unit at home in your own time. So as always, I want you to start off the workout with breathing control. Work through your cycles on that. We're not going to demonstrate that now. This should be something that you're well used to. And the core bracing and working on about 2 rounds of the core bracing. Just engaging the core, waking up the core in preparation for the rest of the session. So we'll then take it on to the first movement exercise, and Jake will demonstrate this for you. We're going to work through the hip bridge series. We're going to do an advanced variation of the hip bridge series. So the previous block you would have performed the hip bridge series, but now we're going to add in another exercise into it. So just a reminder of that, the first exercise is with the hands down by your side, and you're going to do a peeling action on the hip bridge. Peeling from your tailbone through to the mid back, to the upper back, squeezing the glutes at the top of the movement, pausing, and then peeling back down. So just pausing for 2 or 3 seconds and peeling all the way back down. You're going to repeat that twice, mobilizing the pelvis and the spine here while activating the glutes. We're going to advance that onto the arms back behind the head, so you're still peeling, but a little bit less control now. So really focusing on trying to maintain that control on the peel. Pressing through the heels, activating the glutes, and getting a nice fluid movement through the spine. Once more, tilt the pelvis, peel lower back, mid back, up to the upper back, and reverse that peel back down again. Good. Taking your hands back down by your side, you're going to now take it onto a 1-leg hip lift for just 5 repetitions on each leg. Center that one leg that's on the ground. Activate the glute, lift the hips up, push the hips to the ceiling, squeeze the glute, pause at the top, and slowly back down and fully back down onto the mat. 5 repetitions here. Each time you do this lift, you're going to activate through the glute muscle, and you're going to make sure that you're driving through the heel as well. As you lift up, make sure that the lift is coming from the hips and that you're not extending through the back. The lift here is from those hips. Keep it controlled. Don't lift too high or you'll end up coming into the back. 5 reps, switch it over. Again, activating through the glute. Nice and slow here, we're still warming up, we're waking up the muscles, and drive through that heel. Get the hips up nice and high towards the ceiling, but again, don't arch through the back. So after 5 repetitions here on each leg, we're going to introduce a new variation here. And this is going to be the bridge walkout exercise. So a little bit more pressure on the hamstrings here. Take your time with this, only work within a range you're comfortable with, and slowly build up on that over the weeks. So Jake's going to lift into a hip bridge position here, and very slowly with short steps, keeping the hips up nice and high, he's going to walk the feet away from him, and the pressure can stay on the heels here. Nice and slow, and once you've reached the range that you're comfortable with, walk it back in, keeping the hips up nice and high. You're just going to do this twice. Quite an advanced exercise, so if you're not ready to incorporate this, there's a little bit too much pressure on the hamstrings, then you can eliminate this and introduce it when you're ready. Good, and resting down. So that's your hip bridge series, the new advanced variation of the hip bridge series, including the walkout. And now we're going to take it on to the dead bug series, where again, we're going to advance it with an additional exercise at the end. So a reminder of the dead bug series. We're going to start off with the knees bent at 90 degrees, hands up above the chest. And the first exercise we're going to work on is the bent leg variation single reach. So opposite arm, opposite leg, reaching down, tapping off the ground. We're just going to do 2 repetitions of each here. And pause here. Now we're going to do a double movement. Arms and legs moving at the same time. Again, 2 repetitions. Keep the core engaged. Keep the back flat to the mat. 1 more rep here. And we'll advance on to the long leg variation. So again, single, opposite arm, opposite leg. Keep the core engaged, nice and slow with the movement. Keep the back glued to the mat. And 2 for the double reach. Take your time with this. Break it down and do it separately if you need to. This is very advanced. And now we're going to advance in and include a star movement here. So Jake, you're going to extend the arms and legs down towards the ground. Now arms and legs out, star movement, pull them back in and draw back up to the starting position. Once more on that. Take your time with it. Big challenge for the core here. Try keep your back glued to the mat and slowly down. So again, just one additional exercise there, 2 repetitions on it just to advance that dead bug series. We're now going to work on the push-up rotation, and again, we're going to advance this on by adding a movement into this also. So Jake's going to demonstrate this. We're going to do a walkout movement and walk back. Again, like the hamstring walkout, working within your range, and then carrying on as normal. So Jake's going to start in a push-up position, and we're going to walk out within a range that's comfortable to you where you've got good control over the core, and walk back. And now perform your push-up and rotation to one side. Good. Between, you're going to walk out again, making sure to walk back fully that your hands are underneath your shoulders before you perform the push-up again. And rotate to the opposite side. You're going to perform about 6 repetitions here on this, 4 to 6 repetitions. So Jake, I'm just going to get you to do 2 more here. So nice challenge here for shoulder stability and the core on that walkout. But again, quite advanced. So if you're not ready for it, just perform the push-up rotation, add in that walkout when you're ready. And again, work within the range that you're comfortable with. Shorten the range if it's a bit too much for you. Perfect. Okay, 4 to 6 repetitions there. And then we're going to take it on to the clock face toe touch. So we would have performed the around the world here, toe touch in front, to the side and behind. And Jake, I'm just going to get you to pop off the runners for this. I do want you at home to try do this barefoot if you can. Now we're going to advance it onto a clock face. So what you're looking for here is to use the foot to point out each number on the clock face. So from 12 to 1 to 2, 3, all the way around. And once you get to 6, you're going to switch legs and then start at 6 and work up to 12 again. So Jake's going to demonstrate this. I'll just get you out onto the track here, Jake, for this one. And one full clock face is going to be 1 round. So just a reminder on this, as you're doing this exercise, that you're just tipping the toe at each direction. You're not placing the foot on the ground. And as you do it, and as you can see here how Jake is demonstrating, that he's leaning in the direction or in the opposite direction of the toe touch. So you don't want to lock the torso in place here, because what will happen is you'll end up coming down into a squat movement. We don't want a squat movement. You want just a soft bend in the knee, and you're leaning then in the opposite direction of the foot reach. So once you reach 6 o'clock, switch legs and work within a range that's comfortable for you, but also challenge yourself here with this. So the further you reach, the harder it is for that stabilizing leg. So find good range here, but also working to a point where you've got good stability. All the way back to 12 o'clock. Perfect. Okay, take your time with that. That's 1 full round, and you can perform that 2 to 3 times. So that's it for our stability mobility warm-up. We're now going to take it on to the strength and power unit. So we're now on to our strength and power unit of the workout. And as you've done before, you can either do repeated sets or alternating sets. And we're going to work on a range here of 8 to 10 repetitions across 3 to 4 sets. So you can perform this as you want to perform it. So if you're feeling strong on these movements, you can do repeated sets where you'll perform, for instance, the first exercise, the hip thrust exercise. You can repeat that for the 3 to 4 sets with a 1 to 2 minute rest in between, and then move to the next exercise. If you would prefer to do alternating sets, you can move from exercise 1 through to exercise 5 for 1 set on each, taking the rest in between, and then going back to exercise 1 and working yourself through to exercise 5, again for 3 to 4 sets. So you're going to decide which method you want to use on that. The first exercise is going to be a hip thrust exercise, and we're going to do a single leg variation of this. So this is one you're familiar with from before, but Jake's going to demonstrate it. And I want you to focus on really engaging the glute here. And if you were short on your range on this before, then you're going to work on a little bit more depth. Yeah, so your knees are bent for this one, Jake. Yeah, walking them in. Center the leg a little bit more. Opposite leg up. And then it's your drop and lift. Engage the glute, and you're going to pause at the top of the movement here, and then very slowly drop down. So a little bit more pressure here as you drop down. Let's go slowly on the way down, and a little bit quicker on the way up. So not explosive just yet, but you're just going to go a little bit quicker on the movement up. So slow on the way down, a little bit quicker on the way up, and pause at the top of the movement for 2 or 3 seconds. So you're going to do 8 to 10 repetitions here on each leg. Activating the glute, squeezing the glute as much as you can, and bringing in that slow, slow drop. Activating the glute on the lift. 8 to 10 repetitions, and then you're going to repeat the same on the opposite side. Okay, so Jake, I'm going to get you onto the next exercise here. It's going to be the side plank leg raise exercise. So this is an advanced exercise, advancing on from the side plank variations we would have performed before with the twists and the dips. We're now involving a leg movement. So quite an advanced exercise. We're going to use this to activate through the glute med muscles. If you're not ready for this, you can take your hand down in front just to support. But if you're finding that this is just a bit too advanced, just work on the previous variations of the side plank exercise. But Jake's going to demonstrate this. Lifting into plank position, hand onto hip, so you've got that nice alignment first. And then lifting the top leg up in that leg raise movement. Now, as you do this, you want to make sure you're staying stabilized with the rest of the body. And this top leg that's lifting up and down, that you're trying not to let it come forward. You're trying to keep the leg back as much as possible. If you find that you're able to manage this with good control for a few repetitions, you can take a rest and then complete the last few repetitions after a little bit of a rest, or work to the reps you're comfortable with, and then build up over the weeks. So again, around 8 to 10 repetitions here if you can, 3 to 4 sets, either repeated or alternating, and you'll do that on both sides. We're then going to move on to your single leg squat exercise. Again, this is one from the previous block. You are familiar with this, but I want you to try advance it on a little bit more today. So you're going to try advance it by increasing the depth you're working to, okay? So Jake, you're going to use the bench here. And if you're not comfortable using something this low, just use something with a bit of a higher surface and just work to the depth you're comfortable with. But I do want you challenging yourself here now to try increase the depth a little bit. So Jake's going to demonstrate this. You're stabilizing through the ankle, knee and hip, trying to keep that aligned. Dropping into the squat, trying to find that bench behind you. Tapping and coming back up again. So again, 8 to 10 repetitions here. In the previous block, I would have shown you how to rest, and then from there, lift up from the box or bench or whatever you're using. If you were doing that previously, try to advance on to the variation that Jake's now showing. Just a tap of the backside off the bench, and then coming back up again, engaging the glute. All the while keeping the ankle, knee, and hip aligned. So watch that and move nice and slowly here with this. Slow drop, tap, engage the glute, and come back up again. 8 to 10 repetitions on each leg. And then we're going to take it to a tricep dip exercise. So again, Jake's going to demonstrate this here. Another one you would have performed before, but I want you to advance it on by straightening up the legs a little bit more. So if you found that you had a bit of a bend in the knees as you were doing this before, try straightening them up a little bit more. Remembering to keep the backside close to the bench on this. Slow drop, and then a little bit quicker on the way up. Bend through the elbows, and extend. Good, okay, so nice and slow on the drop, and a little bit quicker on the way back up, engaging through those muscles in the back of your arm, the triceps. Eyes straight ahead, If you find that this is a bit too advanced, bend the knees slightly, take the pressure off the arms, load it into the legs a little bit more. But if you can, let's advance it on and straighten up the legs, put the pressure on the arms. 8 to 10 repetitions in total. Going to as much depth as you can, so work within the range you're comfortable with, but again, try advance it by going a little bit deeper, making sure that the shoulders don't creep up towards the ears. On to our last exercise then, we're going to work on the lunge knee raise. Again, another exercise that you're familiar with from before, but now we're adding in an ankle extension here. So you're going to work on lifting up onto the ball of your foot in what's called a triple extension. So if you're in flexion, 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 now we're going to come up into extension where you're lifting onto the ball of your foot, extending through the ankle, the knee, and the hip. So Jake's going to demonstrate this. Dropping into the lunge, transitioning onto the front leg, and then lifting onto the ball of the foot. Nice and slow with this one. Just trying to get that triple extension now, stabilizing a little bit more through the ankle for this. And still engaging through that glute on the lift. So as you come up, engage the glute. And you can do what Jake's doing here. Pause on the flat foot and then lift onto the ball of your foot. Take your time with this one. Get the alignment right, making sure you're getting that lunge pattern right as well, the 90 degree angle. If you're finding that you're losing balance here on this one, take that toe lift out, get the lunge knee raise right, and then when you're ready, introduce that heel lift onto the toes. 8 to 10 repetitions, and then you're going to switch legs. Once you've completed that, that's going to be it for today's session. We're now going to take it onto a cool down stretch just to finish off the workout. Okay, so for the cool down stretch, you're going to hold each stretch for about 30 to 45 seconds. And you're going to flow through a routine here from standing position down onto the floor and then back up onto the feet. Okay, so Henry, we're going to just start off with a stretch for the posterior chain, so along the calves, hamstrings, glutes, into your back, and we're going to stretch through the chest as well. So I'm going to get you to take your hands behind your back, interlock your fingers, and then you're going to pull your arms back to stretch through your chest. From that position, feet pointing forward, just about shoulder width apart, you're going to hinge forward at the hips and try bring your arms up as high as you can to the ceiling. So you're pulling your hands up to the ceiling and trying to keep your legs nice and straight on this. Good, so we're going to hold here for 30 seconds on each stretch. Really pulling those arms up. And really exaggerate that pull of the chest. And as you hold this movement, try exaggerate that pull. Pulling back through the shoulders, pulling the hands towards the ceiling. Good, so just holding for another 5 seconds, really exaggerating that stretch and just using a nice slow controlled breathing pattern here, in through the nose, out through the mouth. Okay, keeping that position, Henry, bring your hands down onto the mat. Good, you're going to walk forward, you're going to drop onto one knee, and you're going to bring the opposite foot forward, and we're going to take a hip flexor stretch here. Good, so you're going to lean forward, and what you're looking for here is a nice stretch on the front of the hip. If you're not feeling that stretch, you can just walk your front foot forward a little bit more. If you're too far back, you're not going to get that stretch. So your knee here in front doesn't want to come over the toes. You're going to walk it forward and hold that stretch. Again, holding each stretch for about 30 seconds. If you can hold it for a little bit longer, you can go up to 45 seconds. Okay, let's keep that position, and we're going to take it now to the hamstring on the opposite side. So you're going to sit back, you're going to allow the toes come up towards you, and you're going to reach forward towards the foot. Okay, so as you're performing this stretch, you want to reach your hands towards the foot, but don't force the stretch and don't force any of these stretches. So just stretching to the point of tension and never pain on these movements. So you're just reaching towards that foot. If you can't reach the foot or the ankle, don't worry about it. Don't force the movement. So again, holding for about 30 seconds here. just helping these muscles to stretch out and kickstart that recovery. Good. Okay, Henry, you're going to switch legs. Opposite leg forward. You're going to push forward for that hip flexor stretch. If you're not feeling that, again, walk that front foot forward a little bit more. And just gently sitting forward. And let your torso come forward with you. You don't want to pull back on this movement. So just keep that spine neutral and hinge forward. Just trying to find that stretch on the front of that back leg. Again, using your breath, deep breaths into the nose, out through the mouth, remembering that that breath can help mobilize the joints and muscles. And sitting back for your hamstring stretch on this side. Again, reaching towards the foot, but not forcing the movement. If you can't reach the foot or ankle, just reach down along the leg as far as you can. If you find that the muscle is releasing out and you can reach it a little bit further, take it that little bit further. And on each exhale, imagine that muscle relaxing. And relax. Perfect. Okay, let's face this direction for the next one, Henry. We're going to take it now to the inner thigh. Take your hands down in front. You're going to bring your left leg out to the side. Toes pointing forward. And you're going to press back, and you should feel this stretch along the inside of the left leg. If you're struggling to find that stretch, you're just going to walk the supporting knee out a little bit wider and gently press back into it. You can rotate through the torso and sink down into it if you want to find a little bit of a deeper stretch. Feeling that, Henry? Again, about 30 to 45 seconds. And you can switch legs. Good, okay, straight leg on the stretching leg. Sit back into it, try find that stretch along the inside of the leg. Again, if you're struggling to find that stretch, you can walk the supporting knee out a little bit more, or you can rotate your torso towards the supporting knee. Again, using your breath, relax the muscles on the exhale. Okay, Henry, I'll get you to bring your hands to the front of the mat again. From here, you're going to lift onto your toes. Nice straight leg position. Walk back to a standing position. Trying to keep the legs as straight as possible. And we're just going to finish off. You can stay facing that direction, Henry. We're going to finish off with a quad stretch. So you're going to keep your supporting leg nice and soft on this. I want you to reach back, grab a hold of your foot behind, and pull your heel towards your back side. Now, as you're doing this, the supporting knee staying soft to stabilize. And pulling your heel nice and close to the back side. If your knee is out here in front, you're not going to feel that stretch. So pull it back in line with the opposite leg or back beyond it if you can. Also trying not to let that knee flare out to the side. So keep it centered, keep it pulled back, and hold that stretch on the quad. Again, 30 to 45 seconds, and switch it over. Soft supporting leg. Keep that balance. If you are struggling to balance here, you can just hold on to something and get that stretch. So again, knee centered, pull it back. Try not to let it come out in front. Try not to let it come out to the side. Pull it back, stay centered, and feel that stretch on the front here on the quad. Again, using your breath in through the nose, out through the mouth. And relax. Good. Okay, and that's it for our session today. Thank you very much for joining us, and looking forward to seeing you in the next session.